Hello, good evening. You're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. My name is Habib Eniola, and this is one of our favorite pastimes, getting to talk about current and trending issues all over the world. But we do have a special focus on Africa. A lot has been happening, especially when it comes to Africa, Nigeria in particular, in recent times. We've seen where the current administration, headed by President Muhammadu Buhari, has had more or less a lackadaisical attitude towards the clamor of the people to remove the service chiefs because there's been a lot of insecurity issues around the country. And the bane of those security issues has been the Fulani Herdsmen. Now, the title of the show tonight is Cattle, Politics, and Politicians. You might wonder, how are the three related? To understand why the three are related, you have to have a little background into what it is that cattle means to Nigerians. Also, the people who are mostly associated with cattle rearing, who are they? Where are they from? What exactly is their background? That and quite a little bit more to come right after this. We're going to show you a short clip, and that clip is based on the change of guard by the presidency in Nigeria, where they changed all the service chiefs. And you get to see what the reaction of the servicemen themselves are. And that is a rather curious thing. We'll be right back shortly after this. Wow. Now, that has never happened, as far as I know, where junior officers jubilate over the removal of a senior officer. Of course, most of you know my little friend, Casey. She always likes to join me once in a while on the shows. Now, we have a very, very influential politician on the show tonight as our guest. Now, when I say very influential, he's one of the new guard when it comes to Kogi politics. Kogi politics happens to be one of the most blessed states in Nigeria when it comes to the new breed of politicians, because we have seen them actually at the very center stage, holding sway and being able to call the shots. That's why even one of them happens to be a governor at this point in time. But unfortunately, the level of governance that we have seen across board when it comes to the entire country in itself is a reflection of the issues that abound in the country. Tonight, we're going to be discussing cattle, politics, and politicians with Mallam Ibrahim Yakubu Adoke. Mallam Ibrahim Adoke is a former senatorial candidate in Kogi State, from Kogi State, trying to represent one of the senatorial zones in Kogi State. Now, his influence spans far and wide. When I say far and wide, I mean far and wide. His political machinery, his foundation, his base stretches all the way from Kogi State to Zaria in Kaduna State, where Mallam Adoke actually has quite a lot of influence, being that he grew up there and has always been a social philanthropist when it comes to the people of Zaria in Kaduna State. We're going to be introducing Mallam Ibrahim Adoke into the studio right about now. Mallam Adoke.
Thank you for having me here, Mr. Habib. It's my pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you. You are one of the most ghost-like politicians that we know. It's very difficult to actually lock you down and try to get you on screen at any point in time to get your comments, especially when it comes to the dire situation that Nigeria has found itself. Now, fortunately, we have you here tonight, and we know guests, if you're watching, you probably might need to get some popcorn, get some Coke, because Mallam Adoke is one of the most intelligent politicians that I know, especially when it comes to understanding the system and the systemic failure of Nigeria. And then also, he also happens to be quite an expert when it comes to agriculture. Mallam Yakubu, Nigeria is an enigma. It seems to be a puzzle for so many people. Before we go into that, a lot of people would like to know you. They would like to understand who Mallam Ibrahim Adoke is. Because even if we try to introduce you, I'm sure we couldn't do a very good job of it.
Thank you very much, Habib. My name, like you said, is Ibrahim Yakubu Adoke. I am the managing director of Baumasters Project Limited. I have quite a number of companies that I am fortunate to be in charge of. I also am a politician, and politics, I did not start in the middle of my life. I started as a kid, I would say, from our days in Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. I was virtually the youngest and the first and the last 200 level student to contest for student union president in Ahmadu Bello University. That's unheard of. It's not happened again. So we have not.
So you have been in the game for quite a long time.
I was 18 years when I contested for student union president. I was fortunate to have Senator Dino Melai then as my campaign manager. That was his own stint to starting politics. So he was my campaign manager then in Zaria. So
so like we did mention earlier on before bringing you on screen, Kogi State happens to be one of the most blessed states when it comes to quote unquote younger leaders. That's the new breed, because you're not exactly young anymore. People of your age, sometimes, in some countries, are already retired from politics. They've gone into business. They've done their own parts. Kogi State has the likes of Senator Dino Melaye, like you just mentioned. He has Yaya Bello. He has Omoba Tunde Ajibulu, MNI. He has Mohammed Audu, excuse me, who inherited his father's political machinery. But still, there seems to still be a little bit of brouhaha when it comes to the cohesion of politics and advancement of the people of Kogi State. But I do believe that that's a topic for another day. Today, we'll be discussing Nigeria, cattle, politics, and politicians. Now, a lot of people don't understand even the ethnic structure of Nigeria. They know or hear about the Fulani, but in a lot of cases, they say Hausa Fulani. Why a lot of people don't understand the ethnic structure of Nigeria, it still beats my imagination, because if you're in Nigeria, at least you should know a little bit about your country. The Fulanis are a minority in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, in northern Nigeria, I think they account for maybe about 1% of the population of northern Nigeria. There are roughly 25 million Fulanis spread from the Central African Republic all the way to the Futijalan, Senegal, Gambia, and the likes. So a lot of people who have no idea can now have a little background and understand that when you say the Fulani, it is actually one particular ethnic group. We're going to show a short clip to try to give you a little bit more background, and then we'll be right back, and then we'll take on Mallam Adoke. Mallam Yakubu,
Yes.
a small background into how far and wide the Fulani they spread when it comes to the West African region, particularly. Now that a few people have a small idea of who the Fulani are, a lot has been
A lot of
attributed,
people
especially
don't
to the
understand
Fulani
it.
headsmen, especially in terms of security, where all over Nigeria we have seen where the headsmen, quote unquote, actually carry arms, heavy arms, submachine guns, EPMGs, and the likes. There have been a lot of reported cases of them perpetrating banditry. Now, we do know for a fact that they are headsmen and they are headsmen. These ones are actually bandits, in my own opinion. But why is it that the Northern elders do not speak up to try to say, look, you know what? Being a cattle farmer does not necessarily mean that you are a criminal headsman. And then speak out against the banditry of this headsman.
Thank you, Mr. Habib. This looks as complicated as it should be, but it's actually a very simple thing that I will blame a lot of people for not understanding why the problem persists.
Okay.
From independence, this one group that the state did not carry along, the cattle herder. They have never been carried along. They are not factored in many parts. I think General Babangida tried when he did the nomadic education thing, but
Okay.
it did not work. I'll try to explain something to you. I was talking with somebody and he said something very interesting. Very few people understand that a cattle herder is not a cattle owner.
Okay.
He's not a cattle owner. You have an ethnic group called Fulani. It's not monolithic. Inside the Fulani tribe, there are also subdivisions. You have cattle owners and you have cattle herders. And
Just
it's
like any business.
yeah, just like any business, you have people who are working for others.
Okay.
And the way they are so divided, they have their clans. And when a Fulani man meets a Fulani man, he can almost tell which clan he belongs to.
Okay.
You have the Hada clan, and like Mieti Allah. You see that lots of Mieti Allah people, they speak English. I'll tell you something very interesting. Sale Kuba was a student I left behind in ABU, their secretary, Mieti Allah organization. I know him. He was a student. He graduated from Ahmad Bello University, Zaria. Sale Kuba.
Yes.
So we need to understand history. Like Cesare said, not to know what happened before one was born is to always remain a child.
Yes.
Let's go back a little. The serious crisis between the cattle herder and the farmer has come into fore in the last 20 years. It's not that it's not been there, but it's not as bad as it is today. You have people who have cattle. I have a farm where I keep cows. I'm not a Fulani man, but I have Fulani people working for me.
Okay.
So let's go back a little. So let's have a good understanding of the problem we want to look for solution for. We had independence. Everybody was talking of Western education. You had elites in some part of the country that didn't want some part to really understand what Western education was all about. So it was killed. Unlike in the West, unlike in the West of Nigeria. At some point, education was free. Awolowo was really tried. Chief Obafemi Awolowo really tried, We can see the result today in the southwest of Nigeria. In the north, the Fulani elites did not inculcate the herder into this Western education. Very few who were able to find their way, but I do not see it as a process as it was in the West, where you had elites who wanted education. You needed people to take cows around for the cow owners. And that's what you still have till today. So in the process that the man who takes cow round does not have cow to take round again, what job do you think he will do? Please, what work do you think he will do? He turns to crime. He will turn to crime.
But they are already turning to crime, even though they still have.
Let me explain something to you. Before independence, till today, you walk the street, you see cows on the street, people complain, people laugh. It is not the fault of the Fulani man. Do you know why? These people have had their roots for centuries. And development has come to their root, but development did not go to them.
Okay.
You understand? You had, you see, if you check everywhere a Fulani man follows, there's water, there's fodder, there's grass. Tell me, how old is Abuja? You still have cows. Why did you is it not interesting for you to see that they always follow a particular route? They don't just follow anywhere. There are particular routes they follow. That's what they know. That's what is profitable for them. That is their route. We came, population explosion came, cities have grown bigger. We have gone to them, but they have never been given the opportunity to come to us. That has to do with their leadership. It doesn't have to do with me and you. The cattle owners should have, over the period of time, also be looking for solution to the cattle they want to keep. But then it's cheaper for them to have these wandering cattle herders as a clan they can continuously use for their business. Every businessman seeks profit. But
okay, so it's all about the profits for the businessmen behind the cattle rearers. Sorry, the cattle.
The cattle. You see, we have to know there are cattle owners, there are cattle herders.
Okay, yeah. So you have the cattle rearers who are the owners of the businesses, and then you now have the herders who work for the owners.
Exactly. You see, Mieti Allah, they speak good English. They have cows.
Oh, yeah.
Why are they not in the bush? That should have been the question. Why are they not in the bush? They tell
now that you mentioned Mieti Allah.
Yes.
I think there are two things here. First, the governments seem to have had mixed reactions when it comes to the issue of crime being perpetrated by, quote unquote, the headsmen, on the one hand. On the other hand, Mieti Allah stands by those cattle rearers. What I find a bit intriguing about it is this. The federal government states that most of the headsmen are actually not Nigerians. They are wanderers, wandering headsmen. If they are wandering headsmen, MACBAN, which is the actual acronym for the Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, seems to be defending non-Nigerians against Nigerians. And then the government itself has mixed reactions. So there's a lot of politics behind all of this. Why is there so much politics around Nigerians being killed and nobody doing anything about it?
Habib, this is a very interesting situation and interesting times we have found ourselves. Every criminal now hides under one name, Herdsmen. Just last 2 weeks, a boy was arrested. He kidnapped his father for ransom. He said he got 200,000 from ransom. Yes. A lot of
200,000 what? 200,000 naira.
Yeah, I think $1 million or $2 million was paid, but his own share was 200,000. The lecturer that was apprehended in Zaria, he's been released. Everybody calls headsmen. It is, Nigeria is a very interesting place. This shall also come to pass. We had a time that we had somebody who was kidnapping and collecting millions in dollars, not even in naira. Evans. Do you remember A governor was kidnapped in Nigeria, Ingige.
Oh, yes.
People are joking.
Anambra State
It's a
governor.
gradual process. You now have these herders who have no cow, who have found out that one AK-47 it could be better than 100 cow because of quick return. And they will tell you they were enrolled into it. Who does that? Who is behind it? Who sells the guns? Who sells the bullet? Who collects the ransom? The guy in Zaria that was arrested said he was paid 30,000 naira. That was his share of the ransom.
Less than $100.
30,000 naira. Yes, that was what he got for the kidnapping process. We need to go down and be realistic to ourselves. Let's remove what do I call it?
Sentiment.
Let's just be realistic. Let every local area be realistic to itself. Let's not generalize issue, because if you generalize the issue, you will not get solution for it.
Yes, but unfortunately, things have gotten to a point where people are beginning to generalize. So like we stated earlier on, the reason why we actually gave a background into who the Fulani were. To the average Southerner, anybody that comes from the north is Hausa Fulani. They can't distinguish between the Hausa and the Fulani, or the Fulani and the Igbira, or the Igbira and the Okun. They just think that everybody that wears a certain type of cap, that wears a certain type of kaftan, so to speak, is Hausa Fulani. Now, a lot of ethnic tensions are beginning to rise again. We have seen what has happened in Ibadan, where a fella, Sunday Igboho, I think they call his name, came out and he has stated his mind. Now, he gave an ultimatum of 7 days. And during that time that he gave the ultimatum, the chief security officer of that particular state, who is the governor, Sheyi Makinde, did not make any comments about it. Nobody said anything until this man took the law into his own hands and actually tried to move people out of where they are. Reason being, according to them, their ancestral lands are being invaded. People are being killed. People are being maimed.
Sorry, I want to cut you short. Sorry, I want to cut you short.
Yes. Okay.
We need to understand the intricacies that govern politics in Nigeria. The question should be, where did this Sunday guy come from overnight? He's not new.
Mm-hmm.
He's been in the business. He's a thug. He's a politician. You need to see him talk. Times have changed. You see, every thug is local. The mistake any thug ever does is to go national, like Tompolo did.
Okay.
Like Mohammed Yusuf did in Borno. You see, every thug is local and is respected locally. But when the source of funds starts drying up, they try to expand their scope again. Some are able to do it well locally in politics, they end at state level. Some, in their inability to understand the intricacies of Nigerian politics, like this Sunday, takes it to national level and they fall out. He's not new to politics. What work does he do? He said he's so rich. What business does he do? People in that area understand that he is a thug. He is a respected, quote-unquote, politician. He calls the shot. From 2015 to 2021, the drums have changed. Not all thugs are able to get the kind of money they get before. Let me explain something to you. Many of the thugs you have at state level are maintained from people who live outside the state. Probably people have won election or have gotten federal appointments. In order to checkmate their governor or whatever, they are able to give largesse to these thugs. I can assure you that politics at national level is not like before. Money does not flow like before. People cannot keep their thugs again. What do you expect the thugs to do?
And they have already armed the thugs.
What do you expect them to do? There are always enemies. Always, when you look inward, you will always see an enemy. And you will think after eliminating him, you have the next one. Where did he come from overnight? Tell me, who is he when it comes to elite in the West? Elitism, is it by education or by money or by thuggery? Where does he belong? Who was he working for before now? These are the questions you would ask before going to Herdsmen. In that particular area, he found the perfect reason to come back to limelight in a wrong way. And he will face the music like every other local thug who wanted to go national. You can't be a thug in Nigeria. You can be a thug at state or local government level. You can wait for elections to come. Then you can do your work because you are useful locally. Every election is local. There's no national election. For you to be a senator, you have to win election at your local government level, at your state level. So every election, every politics is local. But when you make the mistake of thinking politics can be taken to national level, then you will tell us who the sponsors are. He will. 1 year ago, who thought of him?
Mallam Yakubu. Now, we have seen a lot of Nigerian politicians, they use thugs, they arm them. But when we speak of the issue of the herdsmen, we have seen that the herdsmen are actually quite heavily armed as well. One now starts to wonder, where do they get these arms from? Why do they need the arms in the first place?
We have a very long border. Nigeria has one of the longest borders in the world. And you can't deny the fact that national and international politics cannot be divorced. Africa is huge. The collapse of some countries in Africa has given way for small arms to be proliferated along different borders. Libya failed. Mali is shaking. Niger is not sure. These are not far from us. Chad is shaking. Cameroon is shaking. These are our neighbors from both immediate and in the medium range. And you know how the borders are. I have traveled by road from Nigeria up to Gambia. I have been fortunate to do that by road, just to see what it is like. You can move things. For those who live in Lagos, can tell you what it is like at the Seme border, or isn't it Kwara or in Niger. There's a limit to where government can police all over the world. Look at the last president in the US. He was thinking of building a whole wall across. It was not possible. I think what we should what we should be talking about is for every individual to question himself in Nigeria. Am I doing the right thing? It's not about herdsmen. And you cannot put a whole race together because a few of them are criminals. It's not proper. And you cannot decide to say today somebody is backing the herdsmen because it's in government. Does that mean if an Igbo man becomes president tomorrow, every Igbo man becomes bad? Does that mean if an Ijaw man becomes president tomorrow, every Ijaw man becomes bad? I think we should rather look inwards and look at the realities on ground. What is causing this problem? We're one of the youngest countries in the world. Per capita, the youths, very active youths. The way you have youths in Yoruba land, in Ibera land, in Okun land, in Igbo land, that is the same way you have herdsmen, that they have youths that are jobless. I can assure you there's almost nowhere kidnappers have been arrested, apprehended by the police, and they are strictly from one ethnic group.
That's, well, yes, most likely that's a fact.
So it is wrong. It is wrong to say herdsmen. You discover they say, oh, it's this man that is supplying them guns. He's not a Fulani man. It's this man bringing them food. It's like an industry. Everybody who is a criminal gets involved for the easy money. So if we keep saying herdsmen, if we keep saying herdsmen, we will not go anywhere. It's like we're playing the ostrich game.
Okay,
I am not saying
Mallam
you. I am not saying you don't have herdsmen that are criminals. I am not saying you don't have herdsmen that carry arms. No, I'm not denying that. It is wrong for anybody to carry AK-47. That is an assault weapon.
Oh yes.
And I can tell you, there is nowhere you will see a herdsman in the city carrying AK-47. If you see that, it's in the bush.
So they
You
do know
can't.
what they're doing.
They know what they are doing. The issue is, let's leave the body of the snake and look for the head. This thing affects everybody. Not even the Fulani man is safe on the highway. That is the interesting
Oh
thing.
yeah. Oh yes. Because
So
we heard Governor Mutawale of Zamfara State come out screaming to the high heavens and saying that a lot of people were being killed, especially in the northern part of Zamfara State. There was a case where a whole village was razed down and 322 people were killed. There were also cases of banditry along the highways. There's a high level of arms proliferation in Zamfara State, especially when it comes to the areas where you have the gold mines. So there are quite a lot of issues around it. But one thing keeps popping up. Every time that there's a crime related to the herdsmen, they say Fulani herdsmen. Now, that is a question that we would like everybody to contribute and ask their own variations of that question right after we take this quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Good evening once again, folks. If you're just joining us, you're welcome to another edition of Just Banter. And tonight, we have a very important and influential politician here with us, Mallam Yakubu Adoke. And we're discussing Nigeria, cattle, politics, and politicians. Mallam Adoke, now, everybody sees most of the crimes that happen, especially in the bush or on the highways, as Fulani headsmen. Why is it a case of pointedly the likes of Miyeti Allah do not stand up and say, do you know what? These are criminals. They are not headsmen. As opposed to them sitting down, having meetings with the federal government, having meetings with state governments, and actually standing their ground and saying that they must maintain those routes. The question that one of the viewers threw at me much earlier on was that you have a very large population of polo horses all over northern Nigeria. Now, if you look at how much it takes to maintain a horse or what a horse will eat, probably the amount of horses that you have will consume half of what those cows will consume. But we don't see those horses grazing all over the country. Why must they roam? Can't they settle on ranches? What exactly is the issue?
This is quite interesting for me. The comparison is interesting because I do not see basis why anybody will compare horse and cow.
And cattle.
Yes, I do not see any reason why anybody anywhere in the world, horses are elitist animals. Anywhere in the world, cattle are not. Cattle are for consumption. We breed cattle because we either want to make money or because it's a tradition. You cannot divorce the Fulani man and cattle. The way today probably you will have, say you are well educated. You want to have as many houses as possible.
Oh, yeah.
The Fulani man wants to have as many cows as possible, not houses. That's what he wants. You see, love is something you can't define. If my love is for houses or for cars, the Fulani man naturally, as God created him, he gave him the love of cows. We cannot overnight want to divorce the two. I can understand you tell me we're in the 21st century. Yes. Why do they have to still keep walking all over the country? Why don't they have ranches? Then I will give my own explanation as somebody who has kept cows in one place and why I think they cannot do it.
Okay, can you tell us?
Yes. I have a farm where I kept cows. And I visited a friend too, Abdul Haladu. I visited his farm. He also keeps cow. He's a young man like me. And I really appreciate what he's doing because he started farming before me. I came in late. I went to take lessons from him before I started mine. The cost of keeping a cow in one place cannot be borne by the herdsman.
By the herdsman or by the business owner?
Both cannot, they can't take care of it. You see,
okay,
the owner of the cow, it's tradition. I want us to understand something. First and foremost, this is a tradition that in the Fulani ethnic group, they are subdivided. Like most places, we say you have blue blood. You understand? Their elites are known to have cows, and in their tradition, they have a clan that takes care of these cows. You cannot divorce this from them. That somebody's father has left cows for him does not mean he has the money to take care of the cows. These things are generation upon generation. You can't tell him to sell his love. But we are in the 21st century where we should look for solution. So this is his love. We should look for solution that befits all of us. We all eat meat. All of us eat meat. And I'll tell you, if you keep a cow in one place until you take to the market, you will not make profit.
Why not? But it's done in other parts of the world.
Thank you. Thank you. What subsidy do you have for the Fulani, for the herdsman? There is no other part of the world where there's no subsidy in agriculture. Tell me, can anybody tell me what subsidy the herdsman gets?
Well, I find that rather curious as well because on one of the previous shows, I think it was on the agri supply chain, I did mention there that there was a day I walked into a store, a supermarket in Abuja, and I wanted to buy some stuff. And I saw beef sausages. And they had quite a few variety, about 3, 4, 5. But there were 2 that stood out. And of those 2, I asked, what is the price of this? They told me, what is the price of that? They told me. And I said, but this one that's more expensive is the smaller one in size. Why is it more expensive? Is it like it's of better quality? And the only answer that the attendant in the store could give me was that one that was smaller in quantity was made in Nigeria. And the cheaper one was the imported one. And then the next day, I was taking a drive. I was going towards the life camp area of Abuja. And cows were crossing the road. And I was like, but these are cows everywhere. So why is cheese? Why is beef? Things like that, why are they so expensive in Nigeria? Especially now that you're telling us that it's cheaper for them to actually roam.
I'll explain something to you. First and foremost, there's no subsidy for the Fulani man in Nigeria. Secondly, for you to tell me how many abattoirs do you have in the whole of the north that is functional? In the whole of Nigeria, how many abattoirs do you have? It's expensive to build an abattoir. You see, everybody's got a bit of the blame. The business owner, the header, the government, we've all got a bit of the blame to put together. I told you something from the beginning, until we all look inwards as Nigerians, until we think of what I always tell people, pitfall of national consciousness. Until we look at that, we will not be able to solve many of these problems. There is no, for many people, there's no country like Nigeria. In their heart, there is a geographical location they go to grab. What are they giving? Nothing. Nothing. When you keep a cow in one place, you feed it. The Fulani man who carry his cow around does not have to buy food for the cow. And then we do not have what you call price control in Nigeria.
Okay.
You can afford to buy meat X amount in Abuja, go to Kaduna, you find it cheaper. Go to Sokoto, you find a different price. For example, in Germany.
That operates ordinarily in a free market economy.
But we do not have the capacity in Nigeria to do that. There's no company in Kaduna that can supply half of Kaduna meat. Most of the cow we eat are individuals either looking for money or for whatever reason, or sick cows they bring to the market to slaughter that they sell for us. The good cows you see that goes to Lagos come from Chad. Yes, Chad Republic brings us cow.
That's the Bororo.
Yes, most of the good big cows you see goes to Lagos. Of course, what's the population of Lagos? 20 million plus. So there's market. So it's not a simple thing of header, crisis, conflict. It's a holistic thing we have to look at. Why is this man left behind? What can be done to him? Why is the owner of the cows leaving them to roam free range? Why can't he keep them in one place?
Mallam Adoke. So now the issue, the federal government at some point decided to come up with a policy, and the policy was popularly tagged Ruga.
Yes.
Some people were for it, some people were against it. Now, we did speak to somebody some time ago, off camera, a top government official from one of the northern states, who spoke about Ruga, who spoke about what he thought were the benefits of Ruga. And he mentioned Zafara, he mentioned Katsina, he mentioned the land size, areas where they could use for Ruga and the likes, but the people kicked against it. What exactly is the issue with Ruga? Why is it so contentious an issue?
You see, there are lots of hypocrites in Nigeria. It's unfortunate that we want to bail out the airline, but we don't want to bail out. We don't see it as a bailout because it doesn't concern us. People ask government to bail out certain industries. Why not the Fulani man that we all benefit from? Suddenly, Ruga became everybody's enemy. Some people did not even know what Ruga was all about. A lot of people did not even sit back to check what Ruga was all about. They just felt
there were a lot of contentious, perspectives around the Ruga issue. Some were saying things like, I heard some people saying from Benue State saying that it was a Fulani, way or strategy of domination. It was invasion. We also saw that it happened in Nasarawa, where some people stood up.
Sorry for cutting you short. I want to tell you something very interesting.
Yes.
You never know how interesting land issue is in Nigeria until you want land. The government of Nigeria does not own any land. That's why there's a problem.
Okay. The government doesn't own land.
Wait. Go to your village. The government only takes land by force. In your village, people will tell you it's my ancestral land.
Okay.
In every state of the Nigeria, there is no land that is free. There's no free land. It is when you are interested in situating an industry anywhere in Nigeria, you realize that land tenure in Nigeria is very, very complicated. Rather than people think of land tenure, they were thinking of Ruga. People should have asked, which land do you want to use for Ruga? Is government going to buy the land? People were not interested in the process because as far as they were concerned, they were Fulani people. As simple as that. As far as people are concerned, it has to do with Fulani people. But everybody would have benefited from this process.
So Ruga would have been a good thing.
It's a fantastic thing. Even the Sunday guy in Ibadan would have, he could have, for people, talks like that can have their way. Because government was ready to set out some amount of money for what? Of course, they would have bought lands. It would have created a lot of opportunities for people. It will have gone from cattle rearing to end product.
Yeah. So
people did not wait. People were not interested just because it's the Fulani people. Why is nobody complaining about Nirsal? You know Nirsal? The microfinance bank giving money to farmers all over Nigeria. I want to believe you've heard of Nirsal. It's under the CBN.
Yes.
They are giving money to poultry farmers, rice mill. Nobody is talking about it. But the moment you mention Fulani, the bigger picture is lost. So that's why I said we need to look inwards. Let's not demonize one ethnic group and we all stand to fail from it. If government says we are setting out 100 billion for Ruga, the question should have been, how will that money be expended? It means naturally government would have wanted to buy land from people. Whether you're an Igbo man that has ancestral land you want to sell, government will pay you. Whether you're a Hausa man that has a farm you want to sell, government will pay you. People who are not ready just because it's Fulani. I'm not a Fulani man, but let's be honest to ourselves. They are Nigerians like me and you.
Mallam Yakubu,
and they are ready to work for you.
That brings us to one particular irony, which is what the title of this particular episode is, which is Politics and Politicians. You actually happen to fall into each and every one of those three things. You own a cattle farm. You've been in politics forever, and you are still a politician.
Yes.
Now, is it not
a
systemic failure of Nigerian politicians not to have been able to reach out to the people who either are their support base or who have elected them to explain away the benefits of this Ruga, to be able to stem this issue of herdsmen and crime and all whatnot?
Habib, we find ourselves in a very interesting country, I must tell you. We have been doing a lot of disservice to ourselves as Nigerians. If it is not immediate gratification, then it's not worth it for a lot of people in Nigeria. And that has been one major problem that we are facing. I told you something, pitfall of national consciousness. Until we look at that, I was just reading that a house member went to do empowerment in Zamfara. He went with pressing stones. You understand what I'm trying to say?
We have heard so many stories around.
Yes. So there's a lot of disservice being done to Nigeria by Nigerians. We need to look at that. It's not what I think. It's not what you ask me. It's not what you think. We need to have fear of God in us, not to be religious. We need to see each other as human beings that deserve certain basic necessities of life. Once we can do that, we will be discussing other things again. Until we are able to see each other as human beings, we will not be able to go anywhere. For as long as all we individually think is, how big is my pocket? Tell me, how do you get solution to this? You have house members, senators, governors who build houses and sink a borehole in their house, and the water board is not working. How do you explain this?
Oh well, we see jeeps
No. So
everywhere
you see,
and they are bad roads.
I am happy
Yeah,
about this
I agree
herdsmen
with
you are
you.
talking about. It's just a
Yeah,
tip of the iceberg. You have every governor who has built a house having a generator in his house. You probably have a minister of power who has a generator in his house. You have people in government, Fulani men, who have cows roaming the bush. So tell me, this is a paradox. This is conflict of the opposite. We need to be honest and realistic to ourselves. We need to know we need to have a country that we call our own. Until then, we will keep meandering in the waves. But I can assure you, Nigeria has come to stay. When it fits you, you smile. When you fall down, you throw stones at the system. It has been the way to make money and get back to Abuja. How do you explain somebody who was a minister in the former government will now tell you this is the worst thing that has happened in Nigeria? How do you explain it? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? This
yes,
does
yeah,
not
well,
have, this does not have to do with, this is the politics, this is the political aspect of it. You know why? You know why?
yeah,
Because politics is the graveyard of aristocrats. And that is most noticeable in Nigeria. You have super
yes,
powerful civil servants who will retire to nothing. The only thing they can come back to is politics. And the easiest way to come back to politics is through religion and ethnicity.
and ethnicity.
And they don't care. They don't care. When it was good for this same Sunday in Ibadan, in some years ago, he did not know that Fulani people were existing. But today, the thugs at local level cannot understand that money is not there like before. All the money we all spend comes from oil. How much is a barrel of oil? How many do we sell now? You can't compare today and 10 years ago.
Oh,
You
most
cannot.
definitely.
You see, let me tell you something that really interests me in Nigeria. When we do budget, look at the budget. They will tell you from FIRS, from custom, from oil. It makes me laugh. Because every kobo we all spend in Nigeria comes from oil. I'm a Nigerian. If I want to import from Germany, I will go to the CBN. I give my CBN Naira to open an LC. The CBN will pay the company dollar in Germany. Where does the dollar come from? Oil.
Yeah. The
When
man
the
that
goods
imports from
come,
China is the same thing.
when the goods come, I will go to custom. The little money I've made from somewhere that also came from oil, I will give custom to clear my goods. Those goods that came from Germany, I will sell. I will pay FIRS, tax and VAT. It's all oil money we are spending. We need to look inwards. You see this herdsmen issue, it's an opportunity for every Nigerian.
Why do you say
We
so?
can export meat. I was in Niger for this. Do you know what the Nigerian government was asking from me? Just to build a standard abattoir. You know why? That is a precursor to exporting meat. Angola
Yes.
wanted meat from them. Guinea wanted meat because Niger is blessed with livestock. Tell me, why can't we build abattoirs and export meat from Nigeria? We say Fulani. What has Fulani got to do with it?
I'll buttress what you just said. Now, I live in the Republic of Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland has had a long-standing trade agreement with the United Arab Emirates. One of the key things that was inside that trade agreement was the import of beef from Ireland into United Arab Emirates. And I used to wonder, why Irish beef? Now, everywhere you go in Ireland, there are abattoirs. Everywhere. They're constantly processing beef. Constantly. So, if we actually had ranches like the Ruga that you mentioned, and then we now have abattoirs, then we now have a process where we can now export. I believe that's where you're going.
Exactly. I was happy when the government mentioned Ruga because for me, it was not about the Fulani man. It was a business opportunity for people like me and everybody who was interested. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you come from. Do you know the volume of meat that is consumed in the world? Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know
because
the volume?
meat is consumed. I mean, but even in Nigeria, because I mean, if you go to the average booker in Nigeria, especially those mama puts and all that,
Let me
you
tell
see
you something
somebody
that will
who
surprise you.
ordered
I have a
13
friend.
amala,
Let me tell you something that will surprise you.
Yes.
I have a friend who works in a tannery in Kano. Do you know where their market is? Spain and Italy. Some of the wonderful shoes you wear in Nigeria, the hide is from Nigeria. It is processed in Kano, but the end product comes from Italy. I just wish Nigeria had understood. Look, let me be honest with you. This is one of the best government we ever had. The way it has gone spending money on agriculture, all we needed to do as individuals was to ask ourselves question. Are we honest to ourselves? Do you know how many people have collected money from Nexal and did not reinvest in agriculture? Did you see what happened to the last program that died? The one that by CBN for the rice farmers, they can't even find the farmers. Politicians, some politicians just sat down, collected the money, and so it's an individual thing. Everybody should look into the mirror.
But that's exactly what one of the viewers, I'll just put his comment on screen. That's exactly what he was wondering when he made this comment. So he said, why will they use government money to buy land for a privileged few? Because in a lot of cases, what we found out is a few privileged Nigerians beat the system, use that to their advantage by collecting these grants or collecting these lands, appropriate it to themselves, and the aim is defeated. And that's why this guest is asking this question.
I am this is interesting for me. We can't all sit in the comfort of our living rooms and keep whining. It will not work. It will not work. Some of the best, if you go to Malaysia, if you there's no country you go in the world where somebody just picks money from the street. The issue of privileged few should not be the problem. If the privileged few will do the proper thing, we will not be talking about what we're talking about today. If the privileged few you have, the so-called privileged few, will take the money and do the proper investment, we'll not be talking about what we're talking about today. That is where looking inward and looking at the mirror comes in.
Yeah.
It's not about privileged few. I was talking to, maybe you know Hawa Abbas one time, and she's an old schoolmate. We all went to Zaria together, and we're talking about Nexal. And then a consultant came in. To interest you, people are collecting money and not doing what they should do with it. It's not about the privileged few, it's about the Nigerian.
Yes, we did see that in Kwara State as well, where we did mention on the previous show.
Yes, it's not sure. This is what I like to be honest to myself. It's not about the privileged few. We all individually need to change our character and our thinking towards national consciousness. That the little we will do will translate into a holistic thing that everybody will benefit from. This Herdsmen, for me, it's very interesting. It has, where people think, it's an avenue to open up discussion, positive discussion, realistic positive discussions, not for just for the sake of politics. of bring him down. Politics of national development. This issue of herdsmen should open doors for us to think and talk about politics of national development.
But a lot of Nigerians have been talking about an overflowed term, in my opinion, restructuring. Mallam Yakubu, what does restructuring in the Nigerian sense, what does it mean to you?
Restructuring simply means to a lot of you, bring the money back to my pocket. Why, when they had the opportunity, they did not talk about it? I like being realistic to myself. Yes, a politician, but then I owe one thing to God first, to be honest. Why do people shout restructuring only when they fall out from the center? Why? Tell me, tell me, let's be honest to ourselves. What do you want to restructure? We have a federal system. You have the state, you have the local government, you have the federal government. Every month, there's a jamboree in Abuja where money is shared for these 3 tiers of government. Tell me, when last was a Hausa man a governor in Imo State? Tell me. So when they talk restructuring, it amazes me. If governors decide to enslave their state and then look at Abuja as their problem, it's interesting to me. You know, we have a federal system and we think in a unitary way. Which state in Nigeria today has held or is holding its governor to account? Tell me one state.
Well, a lot of people don't even know who the local government chairmen are.
Tell me, and then they are talking of restructuring. Who is talking of restructuring? Elites that have failed and have fallen out of power. Which minister in the Federal Republic right now, or Senate member, or a member of the House of Rep is talking about restructuring? Tell me one.
Well, we did mention the other time that we saw the likes of Senator Shehu Sani, you know, actually coming out and saying quite a lot nowadays. But when he was actually in the Red Chamber, we didn't hear that much from him.
That's what I'm trying to say. Why is it that when people fall out of, when the table goes low for them, they remember it's gone higher? Why? So I never take these people as serious. Go to Kaduna and see the wonderful work that Governor El-Rufai is doing. He has changed, not that he's changing. El-Rufai has changed the face of Kaduna. He has changed it. What are the other governors doing? It's simple. Restructure what? Have you questioned your local government? Do you know what is the budget of your local government? Do you know the amount of cash your local government gets every month, every year? Have you asked questions? Why is your governor holding the local government funds? What happened the last time? The president insisted that autonomy for the local government. The governors ganged up. What did the people say? Nobody was talking. The president insisted that the state House of Assembly should be autonomous. What happened? They couldn't even speak for themselves. So what restructuring are we talking about? Almost every speaker in a state, at state level, is in the governor's pocket. The president was trying to liberate them, give them the power that they deserve, that the Constitution has given them. They are not interested in it. If the state legislature had its money coming directly to it, they will not have to go to governors to beg. Then they can face a governor and tell him the truth. But right now, the governors pay the state legislators. He who pays the
piper dictates it to you.
Fantastic, I'm happy. So tell me, what restructuring are we talking about? I don't like when young men talk about restructuring because it means they are looking for food. I don't like when people who are falling out of power talk restructuring because he's looking forward to going back to where he's coming from. What do you want to restructure? The richest states in Nigeria today are in the South-South. Give me one state in the South-South that is as beautiful as Kaduna today. One state. The volume of monies they get monthly, there's no state in the North that gets it. Why do we have to be? You see, maybe If it's a problem, I like it. I like to be honest to myself. This is what we need in Nigeria. We all individuals need to be honest to ourselves. How much can we eat before we die? And for those of us that are Muslim, it's even more interesting. 8 yards of China, it's enough to bury us. So I can't have this in my head and I'll allow certain things to becloud my truthful sense of judgment just because I'm a politician. Herdsmen, what herdsmen are we talking about? Criminals are all over. Let's be honest. Are we saying they have not gotten some people in the last few years that were Yoruba men kidnapping in Yoruba land? Are we saying suddenly Evans, who was taking 1 million, can you imagine, was taking $1 million as ransom money in Nigeria? Can you imagine? And we're talking of herdsmen. We have a problem that we are all suffering from. But because of our inability to be honest to ourselves,
Hello, we seem to have lost Mallam Adoke there for a couple of seconds, probably a technical issue. I'm sure he'll be back right after this. In the meantime, we'll take a quick commercial break, and when we'll come back, we'll ask Mallam Adoke one final question, because like we said, grab your popcorn. This might go on and on and on, because Mallam Adoke is quite a very interesting fellow. Be right back after this.
Enemy, because it looks nice for me to stand here before you. You needed to see me when I got rescued. I was manhandled, I was ruffled, I was tortured, name it. It's horrible where this country is driving at. It's horrible because these gentlemen shot for like 1 hour on the road until policemen arrived and they ran away. And they took us inside the bush from Thursday to this morning. And well, I want to use the opportunity to appreciate the police, because the pressure they gave them led into them letting us go. Because if there was no pressure, they would have had a field day. Why am I saying this? Because when we were held there, we were put in a swamp. We slept in a swamp with all manner of insects and reptiles. And they were moving us, we moved like 30 kilometers inside the jungle where nobody has treaded upon. They were comfortable there. Please. They had very dangerous firepower. Ammunitions, name it. They had sacks and sacks of live ammunitions. But the moment we saw police helicopter that descended very low right above our heads, the criminals, the kidnappers took to their heels and hit at some point, and they started being erratic. You know, they knew that some people were on their trail. I also want to use this vein as well to appreciate the local vigilante group or hunters. They were always coming out there to nose around. We used to see them, but they couldn't. There are some areas they couldn't get to because they thought there was no human being there. But that is where we were.
Local government.
Well, from the looks, I can give you the only information, because there are some things I can't say because of it's a bit sensitive. Because the police are on the matter now, or is on the matter, but there are some sensitive areas I can't touch for sake of not destroying evidence or investigation or impeding it. Okay. From the language they spoke, they are pure Fulani herdsmen. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I wouldn't want to go further, but I'll leave it at that.
Did they tell you why you were abducted?
They don't know me. I don't know them. I was in a bus. I was in a car going to Lagos. In fact, they told us they had no business with us. But the car they were shooting at drove away. They riddled the car with bullets. But the guy managed to go with 2 tires, and they turned back and descended on us. They picked us randomly. We never knew them from Adams. They just said their bullets will not go to waste. They needed somebody to pay for the bullets, and they took us.
Are you aware if your family member paid ransom at any point?
I can't go there.
Why are you giving food? And what kind of food are you giving?
You don't expect them to give you food, would you? What would you be doing with the food?
Did they offer
How can they offer you food, brother? You're in a dilemma. You're between the devil and the deep blue sea. You're looking for food. What if the food is poison? You can't do that, bros. My name is Chemela James Yoron. My father is the late Gringory James Yoron, okay?
Mallam Yakubu,
Yes.
we have seen quite a few videos
Yes.
that come up with this type of feedback. They come out, they're on the roads, they attack people. Now, what do you think is the way forward? What do you think is a possible solution to all of this after all is said and done?
The solution is not far from me, you, and every other person. We can't deny the fact that Nigeria is under police. That you cannot deny. And we can't also deny the fact that resources are not as much as we used to have in Nigeria, because it's only crude oil that is the major source of resources that we have. And if you look at the Nigerian constitution, the states have not done their own part at all. The states have not done their own part. The governors need to be honest. You can't sleep with the devil and expect to go to heaven. If you are looking for thugs in the southwest, you don't look for Hausa man, you don't look for Anibera man, you look for Yoruba people. If you are looking for thugs in the south, you don't look for an Igbo man, you look for Ijo boys. If you are looking for thugs in the east, you look for Igbo boys. If you are looking for thugs in northeast, you look for locals. It is these locals that translate to Nigeria. If we take care of these locals at all levels, we would have done one of the major parts that needs to be done. What I'm trying to say is, people spoke about state police. I don't like state police. I'm a politician. It's going to be impunity in hell for state police.
Why?
Not because state police is a bad thing, but because of the nature and structure of the Nigerian space and politics. I travel a lot. If you go to the US, the police from New York cannot arrest somebody in Maryland. They will have to contact the Maryland State Police. That's why you have the FBI that is national. So virtually every state in the US has its own police. That's why I have LAPD, NYPD. You understand?
Yeah.
They do not cross each other. So only FBI can arrest from everywhere, but they are honest to themselves. They are very honest to themselves. Our constitution has to be respected. We cannot live in a federal state and be thinking in medieval era. That I don't like as a politician is not a criteria for me to punish you. Tell me, we have a federal police right now. Look at what some people try to use the police to do when they don't like you. They will prevent you from coming to your state. Imagine having police that is being controlled by such a person in his state. Nothing will happen. We need to be honest to ourselves. It's a difficult thing, but we need it. We are humans. We are not lower animals.
Is that a personal experience, Mallam Yakubu?
Politics. In politics, you see everything. In politics, you see everything. It's terrible. You understand? When you're a politician in Nigeria, you first pray for the worst before you pray for a good day. Every day you leave your house, especially if you are not fortunate to be on the seat, the first thing you do is to pray for the worst, because that's likely what's going to happen to you. And there's nothing that would happen after that. Why? Because we don't see each other as human beings. It's a winner takes all kind of thing. It's not issue of herdsmen. It's not issue of Igbo. It's not issue of Yoruba. It's a function of a country. We have a country, we need to defend it. We need to believe in it. If we do not believe in it, we cannot get a solution.
So,
It's as simple
Mallam,
as that.
if you have a winner takes all situation and becomes a do or die affair, should something not be done about the remuneration for elected officials?
I'll be honest with you. Yes, I'm a politician, but I think politics in Nigeria is very expensive. We have houses all over the world, and we see how politics is done elsewhere. Angela Merkel, if you read recently, you saw what was going around. She still washes her clothes with a washing machine in her house. I think politics is too expensive. It's too lucrative in Nigeria. It should be public service. In Sweden, parliamentary members are not given a car or a house. It's called public service. You brought yourself to serve the people.
Their remuneration is lower than minimum wage.
Yes. So you are there working for the public. In Nigeria, it's the other way around. So it's a difficult situation we have found ourselves. That's why I say we individually need to think about what is proper, what is right. Let's stop calling God the way we do, and then we joke with his name outside and then play with it in the night. I tell you something. Did you see the Sunday guy that went to kill? Did you see his clothes? You saw he had one local bulletproof.
You had no idea what it was.
Okay, good. If you see him, let me tell you something. We need to be honest. We need to stop joking with the name of God. We can't worship God in the mosque and in the church, and in the night we go back to our villages, to village gods as Nigerians. We can't do the triple heritage thing. We have come to the end of the road. We want to move forward. We have to decide what we want to do. It's a triple heritage we find ourselves in Nigeria. Honestly.
It's a big shame.
This is the 21st century. We can't keep allowing cows to roam the street. It cannot continue like that. We have to be honest to ourselves. But the government has to assist. The government trying to assist, we have to allow the government to do its job. For me, Ruga was a fantastic policy. I was seeing a lot of young men going to make money out of the policy. But the press killed it. Because a Fulani man is the president, so he wants to give money to his brothers. Very terrible kind of thinking.
You forgot the larger picture.
Tell me, right now, Lagos has one of the largest farmland in Kebbi State. One of the largest rice mill in Africa is in Lagos. That is a particular process. Lagos State has discovered that it can generate more revenue, milling rice, and selling to Nigeria. What stops any state having Ruga and providing meat for Nigeria? After all, federal government was going to give the money. Tell me, what stopped it? If you can do it for rice, why can't you do it for meat? As simple as that. If Lagos State can invest in rice in Kebbi State,
yes,
why can't Ebonyi invest in Ruga and provide meat for Lagos?
Mallam Adoke, it has been a long evening. We can go on and on and on and on. And like I told the viewers before the show started, even the producers, we had alerted them that this could be a long show simply because of the nature and the persona of Mallam Adoke. Mallam Adoke, one final question. We always like to get a giveaway for our guests and our viewers. Now, when it comes to the issue of cattle farming, cattle rearing, herdsmen, and all that, we are seeing some sections of the country where you see some individual voices coming up and saying, you know what, I don't want to eat Fulani meat again. I should start doing my own meat. Which part of that type of farming is the best for somebody who is a startup or a starter to start from? Is it goats? Is it sheep? Is it cow?
Herdsmen have suffered enough, not because they make money out of their cows. I'll tell you something. As a farmer, as somebody who, when you want to keep animals, the best for you is goat.
Okay.
One, it's more profitable than cows. Keeping goats. The meat, health-wise, outweighs that of cow. The time of return on investment is far, far shorter than that of cow. My advice for Nigerians who feels the Fulani man has, in his own myopic thinking, prevented him from going into cattle, he should go and start keeping goats.
Okay. So if you're watching, you can hear that. He has told you where you can start from in the events that you do want to rebel and say, you know what, I'm not eating the cattle from the Fulani herdsmen. So you can start rearing goats. And of course, it's a much, much more profitable venture for you. Mallam Yakubu Adoke, we thank you so much for taking out the time to join us tonight. We hope we'll have you on again sometime soon because we still do have quite a few questions for you, especially when it comes to Kogi politics. We were going to ask you before if you were running this time around, but we're not going to do that now. We'll take that opportunity to invite you again to come on, and then we'll now talk about Kogi politics at that point in time. Thank you so much for taking out the time to join us tonight.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, Habib.
You have a great evening.
Yeah.
So, quite a contentious issue, cattle, politics, and politicians. Nigeria, a queer country when you come to think of it, but also one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Very rich in human resources, rich in mineral resources, and rich in land as well. We have practically everything going for it, but there just seems to be quite a lot of misunderstanding, misconceptions when it comes to even the ethnic structure in the country and how things and issues are labeled. We'd like to thank you all very much for joining us and taking out the time to watch and staying this long. You can see quite a few people are still on, and we truly appreciate that. Now, before we go, we usually talk about our social campaigns. And the first campaign that we always talk about is the issue of rape. We keep mentioning it, we keep talking about it. It's a pandemic. It is killing our people all over the world. That is not even just, Africans. It's a global pandemic. In Nigeria, particularly, 1 out of 4 women before the age of 18 experiences sexual molestation, i.e., rape. 1 in 10 young men before the age of 18 also experience the same thing. And the elderly are equally vulnerable. Please, we all need to say something against this. We all need to speak out. You can use any or both of the hashtags on the screen: no excuse or no to rape. Tweet something, post something, support this campaign. Let's try as much as possible to raise awareness about it. Remember, if we don't have healthy children and healthy women, we can't have a healthy nation or nations, as the case might be. So we all need to fight against it. It's something that we really, really should worry about. Mental health issues are a very, very deep issue for us to take cognizance of. Now, COVID-19 is also very real. We can still see record numbers in different countries all over the world where people are dying. So we all need to play our own part. Wash our hands as often as possible. Keep a safe distance. Recommended distance right now is 1 meter. Don't travel except you absolutely, need to do so. I find myself in that situation as well, and I'm trying to adhere to it as much as I can. But you need to wear a face mask anytime you're out in the public space, either in a shop, in the mall, or wherever you find yourself, or even on public transport. Please always wear a mask to protect yourself from getting infected. And in the event that you do not know that you're asymptomatic, from you infecting others. Thank you very much for taking out the time to join us tonight. And we hope we'll see you again on Sunday when we take on our next guest, who I'm very sure you'll find rather interesting. And I'll give you a hint of what we'll be talking about. We'll actually be talking about diversity and inclusion. Another very, very testy issue, especially for those who have been thinking of relocating or those who have relocated and are going through some peculiar challenges that they never thought could ever happen to them. We hope you take out the time to join us and watch. And Also, drop in your comments. Thank you very much, and you have a great weekend ahead.